AnnyeongBuzz, welcome back to the channel where we break down everything happening in the K-pop world. And today we've got some really unexpected and honestly disappointing news, especially for FIX, the fandom of CIX. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's unpack everything about the sudden cancellation of CIX's Thunder Fever tour in Europe and North America, because this one really came out of nowhere. Alright, so here's what happened. On May 21st, MyMusicTaste, the organizer for CIX's upcoming tour, released a statement saying that the group's concerts scheduled for June and July across Europe and North America have been cancelled. Just like that. The Thunder Fever tour is officially not happening in those regions. Now here's the exact wording they used. Due to unforeseen circumstances. And if you're like me, your brain immediately went, wait, what does that even mean? It's such a vague phrase. It could mean literally anything, from scheduling conflicts to issues with venues to maybe even internal decisions within the company or group. But no details were given. And honestly, that's what makes this cancellation sting even more. Because here's the thing, fans have been planning for this. People already booked flights, hotels, took days off work, saved money for months just to see CIX live. And then, boom, it's gone. Just 2 weeks before the first concert was supposed to happen. And without a solid explanation, it feels like fans are left in the dark. Let's be real, this isn't just about missing a concert. For international fans, a K-pop tour is a huge deal. It's not something that comes around often. So when it gets canceled, especially this close to the dates, it's not just disappointing, it's heartbreaking. And I totally feel for FIX right now. Now, MyMusicTaste did say that full refunds will be issued to all ticket holders, and they're promising updates on that process soon. That's definitely the bare minimum, but still important. If you're someone who bought a ticket, make sure to check their official social media and email notifications for refund instructions. And hopefully, the process goes smoothly for everyone. But let's talk about this from a fan perspective. FIX had been so hyped for this tour, especially since CIX has been gaining more attention globally. Their last few comebacks have been solid, and their performances are always so polished. The Thunder Fever tour was supposed to be a celebration of that growth, a way to finally connect with their international fans again. And now, that connection is just gone. At least for now. And this raises a bigger conversation that I want to have with you all. Why does this keep happening with mid-tier K-pop groups when it comes to international tours? We've seen similar cases with other artists where tours either get scaled back, rescheduled, or straight up canceled. And it's not always because the group isn't talented or doesn't have fans. It's often due to lack of proper planning, miscommunication between companies and organizers, or just underestimating the logistics involved in going overseas. CIX deserves better. FIX deserves better. And it's frustrating to see artists and fans paying the price for behind-the-scenes problems that no one wants to be transparent about. Let me ask you guys, do you think companies should be more upfront about why cancellations like this happen? Would a more detailed explanation help ease the disappointment? Or is it better for them to keep things vague and avoid public drama? I'm genuinely curious about your thoughts on this, so let's talk about it in the comments. Also, to my FIX family in Europe and North America, how are you holding up? Were you planning to attend the tour? How are you processing the news? Let's create a space here where you can share your feelings, because I know a lot of people are really upset and probably don't know what to do with all that disappointment. One more thing I want to point out before we move into the second half is this. K-pop fans are some of the most passionate and patient people out there. The fact that so many of you still support your favorite artists even after being let down like this speaks volumes about your dedication. And I think that deserves recognition, but at the same time, we need to hold companies accountable. Because if the pattern continues, announcing tours, hyping them up, and then canceling without much notice or clarity, it just breaks trust. And once that trust is broken, it's really hard to rebuild. Let's keep going, because this conversation is far from over. In fact, I think what's happening with CIX right now opens the door to something bigger that really needs to be addressed in the K-pop industry, especially when it comes to global tours and how they're handled for groups that aren't from the biggest agencies. So here's the thing. Groups from smaller or mid-sized companies, like CIX, already face a tougher uphill battle when it comes to international exposure. They don't always have the same budget, resources, or media support as groups from the Big Four. But the fandom is there, the passion is there. So when a tour gets announced, especially in places like Europe and North America where fans don't get as many chances, it becomes a huge deal. That's why this cancellation hurts so much, because it's not just about one group. It's about the pattern we've been seeing where fans get excited, spend money, and then suddenly get hit with a vague, sorry, unforeseen circumstances message and zero transparency. And let's talk about MyMusicTaste for a second. This isn't the first time fans have raised concerns about how they handle events. Over the years, I've seen people complain about lack of updates, poor communication, and last-minute changes that leave fans scrambling. And while I understand that organizing a tour is complicated, especially post-pandemic when venue availability, travel logistics, and even health guidelines can change rapidly, there's a way to keep fans informed without dropping a bomb on them just weeks before the first show. Fans aren't asking for miracles, they're asking for respect. If something was going wrong behind the scenes, why not communicate earlier? Why not prepare fans with a "we're monitoring the situation" message instead of waiting until everyone's booked their flights and hotels? It just feels careless. And unfortunately, CIX is the one caught in the middle. I don't believe for a second that the members wanted this. I'm sure they were just as excited to meet FIX overseas again. You can tell by how much effort they put into their stages, their fan interactions, and even their social media presence. They care. And that's what makes this even more frustrating. Because it's not just a business decision, it's a decision that affects the emotional connection between the group and their fans. Now, this also brings up a question I've been thinking about. Should more K-pop groups consider alternative ways to connect with international fans when tours aren't possible? Like smaller showcase events, live-streamed fan meets, or virtual concerts that actually feel immersive and well-produced? Because let's face it, global tours aren't cheap. And for some groups, they may not be financially viable in every region. But the solution can't just be silence or sudden cancellations. There's got to be a middle ground, right? Something that still honors the bond between artists and fans, even if it's not a full arena tour. So tell me what you think. Would you be open to more creative solutions if it meant more reliable interaction with your favorite idols? Or do you feel like nothing can replace the energy of a real live concert? Also, I want to hear from those of you who've experienced similar cancellations in the past. Was it CIX this time? Was it another group last year? How did you cope? Did the company ever make it right, or did it just fade away without closure? Because I think we need to talk more about the emotional impact of these cancellations, not just the logistics. Fans invest their time, money, and hearts into supporting these groups. When something like this happens, it's not just a refund issue, it's a trust issue. And rebuilding that takes effort from the companies and organizers, not just the idols themselves. I also want to say this loud and clear: FIX, you deserve better. You deserve to scream your hearts out in the crowd, to sing along with Movie Star or Numb, and to see the boys live on stage giving you everything they've got. And just because this tour didn't happen doesn't mean your support goes unnoticed. It matters. It always matters, and CIX knows that. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up addressing this themselves soon, maybe through a live or a handwritten letter. Because they've always struck me as a group that deeply values their fans. So if we hear from them, let's show them we're still here. Still cheering, still waiting. So what's next? Well, keep an eye on MyMusicTaste for refund updates. And hopefully, CIX's agency will share more clarity in the coming days. But more than anything, let's keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts in the comments, your feelings, your experiences, your ideas for how the industry can improve. Because this isn't just about one group or one tour. It's about how K-pop connects with the world. And if we want it to keep growing in a healthy, sustainable way, we need to have these tough conversations. All right, Buzz fam, if you've made it this far, thank you for sticking with me. This wasn't the happiest topic to cover, but it's one that matters. If you appreciated this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you're the first to know when we dive into more K-pop news and discussions. And FIX, hang in there. You're not alone. We see you. We hear you. And we're sending all our love your way. This has been AnnyeongBuzz, and I'll see you in the next one.